Pasiza. I'm going to hand over. Our talk is about dementia awareness. You may come up, my love. She will have the talk, and she also said in between the talk there will be questions. Because I know that some of you would like to ask her some questions. So it's going to be in between the talk, so that we don't have to wait until, the very last. So if there's any questions, listen to the talk, then please do so. Please just ask her whatever you feel like. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to our, she's actually a social worker at Dementia SA. Okay, so here we go, young lady.
Good morning, everybody. What a way to start my day. With the songs and praises and all that. It doesn't happen, all the time. Very few days I would feel like this. I would be experiencing this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really appreciated it. As you can see, my name is Pazisa Mbilini. I'm a social worker for Dementia SA. And on behalf of Dementia SA, I would like to say thank you very much for the church to invite us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate being here. We'd love to talk to people. This is not a session to scare the elderly people, but it is a session to make the elderly people aware that there is dementia, and what do you do, and what is it? How do you handle somebody that is living with dementia? Is there anyone in the room that has somebody that is living with dementia? Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay. You can give another slide. The gentleman? Okay. Right. We welcome everybody. Thank you very much for being here. I know this is your church, and there are other people that are visitors like me. And as I said, on behalf of Dementia SA, thank you very much for being with us, for allowing us to be part of your families. The bathroom is in this corner, Lydia told me. And there's also a register that will go around. Please sign your name and surname, and then so that, we are an NGO, so the people that help us with funding would like to know that we were here, you understand? There were so many people. Thank you very much. Now we are gonna talk about dementia. As we grow old, before we talk about dementia, as we grow old, we lose some of our energy and stuff, right? Sometimes you wake up, I'm also one of the elderly people now, for no apparent reason, the elbow is so sore, what had happened? So there will be aches and pains. We may lose our, good eyesight. I always say the batteries will get dimmer. We may lose our hearing, and then with those aches and pains, we may struggle to walk. The reason that we are mentioning this is that when we see the signs and symptoms of dementia, it may not necessarily be dementia. It may be, as we grow old, our hearts are not functioning as good as they were when we were 16 years old or 30 years old, understand? And our lungs are not functioning as they used to when we were younger. The reason that we're mentioning these things is that the brain is being fed by the blood that is carrying the nutrients and the oxygen. So if my heart is not working properly, and then it means it will not pump the blood enough or in the correct manner, and then one can see signs and symptoms of dementia. But if that problem has been fixed, the person can be fine again if during that time there was no brain cell that died. Are you with me? And again, if my lungs are not working properly, and now it means the blood will have less oxygen feeding the brain and every part of the body. And if that happens, we can see signs and symptoms of dementia. But if that is fixed, and again there was no brain cell that had died, the person can be fine again. Are you with me? And as Lydia said, you can raise your hand and ask a question. So it is very important for us to understand that if we've got these ailments, we must go to the doctor to check them. If we see signs and symptoms that we are going to talk about, we have to take the person to the doctor for a proper diagnosis. Because if one brain cell dies, there's just no way of reviving the brain cell. All right. Another slide. Okay, what is dementia? What is it? What is it that we call dementia? As I've just mentioned that there will be death of brain cells. Dementia is a term that is used by the doctors to describe the group of diseases that affect the brain and that cause a progressive decline in the thinking function of the person. So it also affects how we think. We cannot plan ahead. It affects our memory. We may forget. I'm not talking about forgetting where I put the keys. Like my son would say, if I say, where are the car keys? And he would ask, who was the last person to drive the car? It's mom. Oh, just search for the keys. She won't know where they are. We're not talking about that kind of forgetfulness. We're talking about the forgetfulness that affects your daily living, such that you don't know how to make coffee, you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to do the daily activities that you used to know how to do. You understand? So that is the kind of forgetfulness that we are talking about. Then again, when one has dementia, it affects one's behavior. The person may behave in an odd manner because the thinking function has been affected or the cognitive function has been affected. So the person may behave in a very odd manner, trying to their house and do everything and then take shoes and put them in the fridge. You understand? So that is the kind of behavior that we're talking about when we say, we suspect that there's something wrong. And somebody may behave in an improperly manner, either sexually and otherwise. Those are the kinds of things that we're talking about, that we say, take the person to the doctor for a proper diagnosis. It could be dementia, it could not be dementia. And if it is dementia, at least we know that it is dementia, then one can plan ahead. Are you with me? One can plan ahead. Dementia may make the person cry all the time. Dementia may make the person scream. Dementia may make the person laugh. I always say laughter is wonderful, but if one laughs the whole day, the whole time, it doesn't become wonderful anymore. So those kinds of behavior that the person would be doing, we should understand. And again, if there's a dementia diagnosis, if the person is laughing all the time, you accept that. If the person is crying and you know that there's nothing that she's lacking. You have to understand that. Are you with me? So that is what we do. Right, what are the early warning signs? There's no person that wakes up one day and has dementia. It starts gradually, except if it is dementia that is caused by a head injury, maybe in an accident or whatever. And then we can see, immediate actions or immediate dementia. But other than that, whether it is vascular dementia, we're going to talk about other types of dementia, whether it is vascular dementia or what, but there will be a progressive decline in the cognitive function of the person. Can you give me that back that slide? Yes. So we can see early warning signs, memory loss, especially short-term memory. You tell the person something now, and then the person has forgotten that. Because when there is dementia, the short-term memory door doesn't open in layman's language, meaning what do you hear now? You're supposed to be remembering that, but somehow you forget that. Somebody will ask, what's the date today? And you say, it's the 23rd. After 2 minutes, what's the date today? It is the 23rd. After 2 minutes, what's the date today? You understand? So the person has forgotten something that has happened now. And then the person, which something that is confusing family members, may remember stuff that happened many years ago. Many years ago, and then the family members will say, no, the person is acting out. Why can he remember or she remembers the stuff that happened 30 years ago and does not remember something that happened yesterday or the 80th birthday that we threw for her last week? The person is not acting out. Remember, the short-term memory is not working, cannot store anything new now in the brain. But the information that is already stored in the brain, the person will remember. That's why we know how far gone is the person. When she talks about stuff that happened many years ago, then we know, oh, she's about now 50 years old. What do I mean by that? When the person is living with dementia, the brain shrinks, but we'll come to that. And then again, I mentioned the early warning signs, difficulty in performing, the familiar tasks. As I mentioned, somebody may not be able to make coffee. And then again, I always say to people, if that is the case and the person still wants to make coffee, put everything on the tray, because the cup is there, the saucer is there, the sugar is there, the teaspoon is there, you understand? Put everything, because we want to allow the person to be herself or himself as much as possible. And then another early warning sign, problem with language. Again, depending on what type of dementia, the person may still be remembering some stuff, anything that happened yesterday, but may not find the correct words. It means the part of the brain that has been affected is the one that controls our speech, or that person's speech. Are we together? And then another warning sign, disorientation with time and place, they get lost. They get lost because they can go to a place and then may not be able to come back. And then again, poor or decreased judgment. That's why we say they shouldn't drive, because the person may not understand that the robots are now red, or there's a car coming, I should stop. You understand? Problems with abstract thinking. Sometimes people, they will say, oh, she's lazy, or he has become lazy. Why can't he or she now start doing things? It's because the person cannot initiate anything now, because the brain cells have died. Are we together? Yeah, because the brain cells have died. And then again, another challenging thing, they misplace items and accuse people of stealing them. Oh yes, they accuse, and we always say, don't take that personally. Where is it? If it's not with you as the care provider. I mean, she cannot find it. Even their medication, they're cleaning their house, they put the medication in between their clothes, and they look for their medication. So we should understand where they're coming from, because the abstract thinking is not there. Changes in mood and behavior, as I mentioned, they may cry all the time, they may do all sorts of things, but you need to soothe them as much as we can, because even though the brain cells are not working properly, the inner person is alive. So the person still needs those hugs and kisses, still needs that wonderful tone of voice, still needs you to show that there's warmth, on your face, there's love. Are we together? Then again, I had already mentioned that lack of initiative or loss of initiative. When that happens, you say to the person, can you please help me rake the yard? Can you please help me to dry the dishes? Can you please help me with washing the dishes? The person will gladly do that, but the person may not be able to think to do that. Does it make sense? All right. Any questions so far? Yes? Okay, thank you very much. These signs, because people are different, they don't come in this order. Other people may not even have the other signs, right? May just have memory loss, and still be okay. But as the time goes on, we will see more of these signs. Right, because if the brain cell has died on the part of the memory, we may see lack of memory, and then the blood will not go past the brain cell that has died, meaning other brain cells on the other side of that brain cell will gradually die from starvation of getting the blood that is carrying the oxygen and the nutrients. So people will show different types of these early warning signs. They don't have to come, be 10, 1 or 2 must ring a bell to you to say, let me take the person to the doctor. All right, another slide, please. I'm trying to be as fast as I can. Time flies. I've already explained why we need to have a proper diagnosis. Once we see the signs, we take the person to the doctor for a proper diagnosis. As I mentioned, it may not be dementia. It may be just a disease or an illness that can be fixed and the person can be fine again. What I don't want to leave out before time finishes is that once your loved one has dementia, you need to see a lawyer or an advocate or an attorney to assist you in assisting this person, because there could be assets, there could be money, there could be houses and all that. And when the person is living with dementia, there has to be a legal person to advise the family members, to protect the person that is living with dementia, as well as to protect the person or the persons that are handling the person's financial affairs and stuff. Am I making sense? So it is very, very important. I know that people say curatorship is very expensive and all that, but it's the right thing to do, and it may not be curatorship, it may be another form of helping the person, but we won't go into legal terms, but you need to know that you have to approach the legal person to make sure that you plan for the person. Selling their houses and all that can never be done now when the person is living with dementia without the legal representative. That is very, very important. I know other people see that, oh, there's dementia, and will say, mommy, you please sign this, and then is taking the house, into her own or his own. What is this? Taking the house, So it is very, very important. And what is also important is that for us to know is that even if one had given you power of attorney when one was of sound mind, in South Africa, once the person is diagnosed with dementia, the power of attorney falls away. So now you need to have the legal representative for new ways of dealing with the person's matters. Okay. All right. Did we all hear that? She says there are people when they are wherever they are, but they believe that there are people that are coming to kill them. We call that hallucinations. Hallucinations. It's one of the challenging behaviors that people that are living with dementia have. They will hear voices that will say, Pazisa, somebody wants to kill you. Once they hear that voice, we call that auditory hallucinations. There's just no one that can say that nobody wants to kill you. How you do that, how you handle that, is to acknowledge when he or she believes that somebody wants to kill you, you acknowledge that, I understand what you're saying. You know what? I'm here with you. Nobody will touch you. I've reported the matter to the police. I've reported if she or he is in a home. I've reported the matter to the management. Nobody is going to do anything to you. Sometimes that goes further to one stands in front of her yard and says, and screams and says, there are people by the gate that have the machine, they want to extract my heart. You understand? And you go out and you see nobody and there's just nobody. You can't say to the person that is living with dementia, there's no one, daddy or mommy or brother or lavi at the gate. You must see what the person sees. Am I making sense? Because if you say there's no one that wants to kill you or there's no one that wants to hurt you or harm you, you are making the person more frightened because it means you don't see the danger that she or he is in or all of you are in. Am I making sense? So you acknowledge that there are people that want to kill him, but come up with a solution. You acknowledge that there are people by the gate that want to harm him or her. Say, take a phone even if you don't phone anyone. Police, there are people that want to hurt my mom. Can you quickly come? And then you say, Mommy, let's go inside. I phoned the police or I phoned the brother or I phoned whoever, somebody that he or she would be trusting. And then you calm down the person as much as you can. Try and distract, but you have to acknowledge what the person says he sees or say or heard. Am I making sense? Did I answer your question? Yes. Even there, when they see pictures, they may see something that is not there. They may think those people are right inside the house. You cannot say, no, man, that is a picture. You must understand that those are the people that are in the house. In the way, you have to acknowledge what the person that is living with dementia is saying or talking about. Right? Okay, another slide. All right, there are more than 100 types of dementia. more than 100 types of dementia. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia, followed by vascular dementia. With Alzheimer's disease, they will always start with memory loss, and then other symptoms follow. Then followed by vascular dementia, which is when we grow old again, our blood vessels are less elastic. So when our blood vessels are less elastic, they may struggle to send the blood to the brain again. So we need to do something about that. That's why the checkups are very important, to check on that. But if that can be treated, then the person can be fine again. And then there's a third one that is the most common type, dementia with Lewy bodies. Dementia with Lewy bodies, it's just named after the Dr. Lewy, and Alzheimer's disease is also named after Dr. Alzheimer. They are the most common types of dementia. There's also HIV/AIDS related dementia, which doesn't mean anyone and everyone that is living with HIV will have dementia, but it's just that the virus will, to other people, go straight to the brain and stay there, and then multiplies there, killing the brain cells. Again, there's alcohol-related dementia. Again, it doesn't mean anyone and everyone that drinks alcohol will have dementia, but the abuse of alcohol could lead to dementia. Am I making sense? So we just need to be careful. And again, people that smoke, their blood vessels can harden. Again, we don't say anyone and everyone that smokes will have dementia, but if one abuses the smoking, one can have vascular dementia. So this becomes very important. If you hear what I'm saying, anything and everything that is about us, the fact that we walk, the fact that we eat, the fact that we can talk, is all controlled in the brain. So if the brain cells have been affected, then the trouble starts. Another slide. That's the brain. That's the picture of the brain. The reddish part is this part above the eyes, which is the intelligent part of the brain, where we judge, okay, let me stop, there's danger, where we think, I know that I cannot take off my clothes in front of people and all that, all these right things. I cannot swear because we know we don't have to swear. But we all know the swearing words, eh? We all know the swearing words, but we know that we cannot use the swearing words. That's another challenging behavior with people that are living with dementia. They can swear like troopers. And again, it's because they cannot have the brain cells. If the brain cells that say, even if you annoy me, Lydia, I'm like, okay, let me just leave it like that. It's the brain cells, it's that cleverness, I can do that. But if those brain cells have died, the minute you say something to me, I just burst, I swear. And we always say, if the person that is living with dementia is swearing at you, don't take that personally. She or he is not the one that is swearing at you. It's the dementia that is making him do that. Please be with that person. Understand where the person is coming from. We've seen pastors that swear, people that have never used the swearing words. This is the truth. And like, why? My husband used to be a minister in the Methodist church, but now he's swearing. He can't control that. He can't control that. And you know what? It's about us understanding that now these people are living in the dementia world. And in the dementia world, that's how things are done. And again, what is very important, when they swear, it is their way of saying, I don't like what you've said, I don't like what you've just done. Because they cannot express themselves. They may not have the right words to express themselves. Are you with me? So aggression, usually people that are living with dementia are not aggressive people, but they can be very aggressive and physical. It is their way of saying, I don't like what you've just said, I don't like what you've just done. You know, that mistake is done by most people that have their loved ones living with dementia, because you are arguing with this person the way you used to argue. You try to convince that the sky is not pink, it is blue. When she looks out and says, oh, the sky is pink, come and see Lydia. And you say, no man, it is blue. I said, acknowledge what the person says, because if he looks at the sky and sees that it is pink, it is pink. I mean, it doesn't do any harm to you. But if you try to convince, look, no, that's not the case. No, that's not the case. We are triggering aggression. The person can be very aggressive or agitated or upset. Am I making sense? All right. And then again, as I mentioned, the greenish part is the brain above the ears, where we keep our memories. And then the mauvish part is where we store our words. I call it the library. And people, as I mentioned earlier, a person may not be able to find the correct word. And again, if you've got a loved one that is living with dementia, you have to have a very fine eye and a very fine ear. The person may say, I'm feeling cold, I need a book. What has a book to do with feeling cold? And then, oh, you're feeling cold, you need a jersey or a jacket. You understand? So the person may not find the correct word to use. And then again, depending on the type of dementia, like dementia with Lewy bodies, we first see by the unsteady gait, person not working properly. We check again, is it aches and pains on the knees and ankles and stuff, or hip, or is it dementia? Because with dementia with Lewy bodies, it starts at the back. Another slide, please. I'm going to show you now the brain, when it shrinks, when it has shrunk. It goes like that. On this other side, on the left-hand side, we see the brain that is normal, right? You can see now on the right-hand side how the brain has shrunk. That's why the person may not remember, look at the memory part, may remember some other stuff, may not remember other stuff. You understand? And again, when we talk to them, we don't say, remember. They can't remember, and we're frustrating them. And the person that is living with dementia understands that there's something wrong with me, but she cannot pinpoint that. It's unlike to say, oh, my elbow is sore, my stomach, I've got stomach cramps. You understand? But the person knows that I'm not myself, and that is frightening the person. So that's why we have to find a way of handling the person. And if we say remember, the person cannot remember. Look at how the brain has shrunk. And at the part of the words, look at how the brain has shrunk, you know. So can I have another slide, please? And then on the top, it's the normal brain. The bottom is the brain that has shrunk. So whatever the person does or says, it's not deliberate. It's because the brain cells have died, and once the brain cells die, what is this? The brain shrinks, and there's limited function now in the brain. Are you with me? Another slide, please. I'm trying to be as fast as possible. And then because now the brain has shrunk, those are the challenging behaviors that we may experience. I've talked about aggression and how to handle that and what is triggered, why it is triggered by aggression. The person may have difficulty in dressing up, and then again, those hallucinations that we talked about, they may hallucinate. It's quite challenging. And every time you try to say, no, that's not the case, again, I've mentioned that, acknowledge that. Somebody may have delusions and may say, Lydia, I've been chosen by the pastor to go and represent St. Martin's Church in America. Don't say, nee, man, that can is obvious. No, man, what are you talking about? Congratulate the person that has been chosen to go and represent St. Martin's in America. Are you with me? So you can say, who are you going with? Can I go with you? And all that. But if you say, no, man, you are triggering aggression. Yes. So whatever they say, it is. However they see it, it is. They cannot change who they are because now they have gone to live in the dementia world. It is us that have to reach out to them in the dementia world and change how we talk to them, how we discuss stuff with them, and then we try and distract and all that. They cannot change because the brain cells have died. Then again, another challenging thing, which is one of the worst, is incontinence. When one doesn't feel wants to empty the bowels or to empty the bladder, that can be very challenging. Then again, but I mean, a person can be trained to care for the loved one, but don't be angry if the person, wets the sofas and all that. Just make sure that, you can do some stuff. And again, if now it is time for the person to put on the diapers, don't say, come, mommy, put on the diaper. Diapers are for children. I'm not a child. You can say, come, put on your panties. Because now they are nicer than before. So we need to understand that. Wandering and pacing, that's one of the challenging things that they do. They go out to buy something and then they don't know how to get home. Then again, with family members, they get angry with the person. You knew how to go to the shop. Why don't you know how to get back? The person cannot control that. So we need to be able to understand that. Then pacing, it's when the person, somebody living with dementia can move from that corner to that corner, to that corner, to that corner, to that corner, the whole day. You let the person do that. Make sure that the person doesn't trip anywhere, but understand where the person is coming from. Repetitive phrases, they repeat themselves. Then again, it's like the question that I said, they ask, what day is it today, or what date is it today? Or they tell you the same story again and again and again and again. You don't say, that is the 10th time today that you're telling me that story. You're triggering aggression because every time he or she is telling you the story, it is the first time. You give the same answer if it is the question, or you enjoy the story if it is an enjoyable story, or calm down the person if it is a story that is, is something that hurt her. Am I making sense? And also the movements, they do repetitive movements, even by the mouth or whatever. You have to understand that that's where the person is. We cannot change that. But we have to understand the person as much as we can. There's a slide. Then again, one of the things that challenge family members is when we say trailing and checking, is when you go to this corner, she follows you. You go to this corner, she follows you. You go to the bathroom, she follows you. You go there, she follows you. It is because she feels there's something wrong and knows that she wouldn't follow anyone, or he wouldn't follow anyone. He would follow somebody that he or she trusts. And then it's because he knows that if what he is feeling would get worse, you will be there to assist. Am I making sense? I've talked about screaming and shouting and all that, lack of inhibition. Then again, we need to understand that she won't be able to say, I cannot take off the clothes in front of people. And we always say, allow your friends to come and visit you, but alert them that my mom or my loved one or my dad is living with dementia, please don't be surprised if he does something wrong. You understand? Because if you are embarrassed, they will be more embarrassed. But if your loved one does something odd during that time, and then you are there understanding, showing your friends and whoever that you understand, it makes stuff more bearable and understandable. Again, they pack stuff, they hide and lose stuff, and accuse people of stealing them. Then again, you just admit, especially if it's at your home, you say, oh, your jersey, I thought I was taking it to the laundry. I don't know where I put it. You didn't even touch the jersey, but acknowledge that you took the jersey. Are you with me? Acknowledge that, and then you search. You look for it. You look for it. Then you'll find it. Then again, another challenging behavior is when they are suspicious, again, that the family members want to poison them. They're suspicious that people are gossiping about them. You cannot say that is not true, but again, find a way of handling that. If they are talking about you, I'm going to deal with them. You understand? If they're doing this, I'm going to deal, but acknowledge what the person is saying. Another slide, I think I'm almost there. Right, okay, we already mentioned that when one has dementia, one finds it difficult to find the correct words to use, or the person may find it difficult to form and appreciate ideas. The word thank you is a simple word, but at a certain stage of dementia, when your loved one cannot say thank you when you're doing something for him or her, don't think she's not being appreciative. It is because that word has gone. Are you with me? Then again, there may be, as I mentioned, the reason that we talk is the brain cells that are there. So sometimes you cannot hear what the person is saying because now the person cannot open the mouth nicely because the brain cells that help the person to open the mouth and talk have been affected. Then again, the hearing may be affected, or the person hears what you say but cannot interpret it. If you say, let's go, I understand, let's go. But the person may stand up and then forget that you said, let's go. Then again, you have to repeat yourself, let's go to the bathroom, let's go to the dining hall. You have to be there for the person as much as you can. Another slide, please. All right. Any questions so far? Any questions? Yes? Okay. Partly yes, partly no. We know that diet is good, right? But again, because of the different types of dementia, it may not necessarily, even if one could be eating good, that's why people would grow to the 80s and the 90s because they're taking care of their diet. But for instance, with dementia, with Alzheimer's disease, even if we eat nicely, we may have dementia because this has nothing to do with our diet. It has just something to do with the beta amyloid protein deposits. It has nothing to do with the protein that we eat. That decide not to be eliminated by the body, but they decide to sit on the brain. And once they sit on the brain, they get stuck there because they are sticky. And because now they are a foreign object on the brain cell, they get hard as a brick, and then they kill the brain cell. So what I'm trying to say, it's partly yes, it's partly no, but there are types of dementia like Alzheimer's disease where even the diet doesn't necessarily prevent, dementia. Then again, we should know that there's no cure for dementia. There's no cure for dementia. There will be medication to control the aggression and stuff. Then again, as I mentioned, aggression is triggered by us. The medication may not work if we don't know how to handle the people. But there also is medication that can retard the decline, in the progress of the disease for about 2 or 3 years. But again, it doesn't stop. It doesn't control like we having blood pressure medication or diabetes medication, etc., etc. All right. Okay. Where are my glasses? All right. These are the words of advice. This is the last one. Words of advice from people that had dementia. Acknowledge my disease. Don't pretend that there is no problem. There is a problem. These are quotations from the people. Remember, I said, not everyone, not anyone wakes up one morning and has full-blown dementia. So they can be there, they can talk for themselves, they can have some planning, here and there. Don't treat me like a child. As much as they behave like children, we still treat them as adults. We don't treat them like children. Learn all you can about this disease. Go to Dementia SA, have that a workshop that takes, the training workshop that takes the whole day, and so that you can know how to handle the person that is living with dementia. And if we don't know the basic do's and don'ts, we get hurt. We really get hurt as care providers. But if we get the training and the knowledge and the education about how to handle the person, why the person is doing this, it won't be easy, but it will be more bearable, caring for somebody living with dementia. Take time to listen to me. Take me seriously. Because sometimes when they have dementia, like, oh, Ma has dementia, oh, Ma has dementia. Take time to listen to me. Remember I said one has to have a very fine eye and ear, because they may not say what, they may not use the words that they want to use, but we need to be there for them. Another slide. Give me some space and time to do things in my own way. Remember I said when they still want to make their own coffee, try and find a way to make them make their own coffee. If they wash their clothes, let the person do that. We're not looking at the best done stuff. We're not looking at the best washed dishes, but you let the person be him or herself as much as the person can. Let me continue to do the things that I still can do. I understand that I will get upset or frustrated when I cannot do things that I used to do. Aggression is also another way. Maybe somebody used to knit, or somebody used to do whatever stuff, but now, almost when we knit, we say knit 3, pell 3, and all that. There's some counting. The counting could be affected, and the person, even the Scrabble or playing bridge or this and that, the person will not say, I can't do it. Because they try to hide most that there's something wrong. But the person may say, no, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. Persons that used to read, no, I don't want to read. You must understand that that is her way of saying, I can't do it. You understand? So you have to understand the person. Finally, remember me. Remember me. Remember me. I'm your mom. I'm your father. I'm your wife. I'm your husband. I'm your brother. Remember me. Don't just discard me. Any questions? Okay. The question is it genetic? In my experience at Dementia SA, and also there will be very few families where there's more than one person living with dementia, right? Yes, there will be those families, mom who had this, and now now somebody, the sister is having that. Very few of those families. And the research is being done to check if it is really a genetic. But again, I know of very few families that will have more than one person. But I cannot say no, because I've got that. But not really like we say diabetes can be genetic, you understand? Or cancer can be genetic. But with dementia, they're still doing some research, but I can say, yes, there are families where you find more than one person living with dementia. And I had a family where 3 sisters had dementia. Their parents never had dementia, but 3 of them had dementia. There were 4 sisters, but it does happen that somebody in the family has more dementia. More. Trauma, yes, it can cause dementia because trauma can lead to depression. Depression can lead to dementia, meaning it will damage the brain cells. That's why we say if we are stressed, let's take care of ourselves, right? Because this could lead to more damage. You understand? Yes, trauma can do that, but again, not all people that experience trauma can have dementia, right? Depends on how we handle trauma, but it is true that it can lead to dementia with other people. Questions? Yes. All right. The lady saying, can I speak about how a Parkinson's disease somebody with Parkinson's disease can have dementia? Parkinson's disease is something different, right? And then we see the symptoms, struggling with walking and all that. But again, there are brain cells that have one way or another been affected. That's why even when we do our training workshops, we say somebody that has Parkinson's disease may end up having dementia. You understand? May end up having dementia because now the brain cells, one way or another, would be affected, and then there would be a brain cell that would die. Am I making sense? Yes. So, but that's why we talk about it when we do our training workshops, because they, and again, people that have dementia may have signs and symptoms of Parkinson's disease, like, the tremors and all that, inability to walk and all that, stuff that are there, with Parkinson's disease. So they kind of related, but they're not the same thing. There was a hand? Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, I hear you. Unfortunately, no. We don't have support groups for the sufferers of, we don't say they suffer, for the people that are living with dementia. We don't have support groups. The support groups that we are having are for the care providers, I know there are other facilities where they would go on a daily to be there, for the exercises and all that. And it's very important to allow them, as I mentioned, that they do exercises and all that, because the exercises, whether it's dishwashing and all that, or folding the clothes and that, it is helping to stimulate the brain cells that are still okay, that are still there, so that, they don't quickly die down. But, we don't have this. Actually, we used to have more than 20 support groups as Dementia SA in the Western Cape, but because of the COVID-19, we had to close. And then what we started doing was to do the virtual support group meetings, which happen every Thursday between 1 and 2 o'clock. And now it is great because we have people in other provinces. The only one that came back is the support group that is run by Merlin Airport, that is at Hanover Park. That's the only one that has come back to life. Others are not there anymore. And I think as Dementia SA, we feel good that we can still meet our people virtually, and we can spread. We have spread our wings into other facilities. Which reminds me, there's at Panorama Palms, it's a home. They would like to start their support group, and they need a volunteer, somebody that can do that. Just in case there's somebody here that knows someone, or somebody here that is willing to do that, they need somebody. Karen, our director, will help the person for about 2 months or so, and then we'll leave the person doing the support group. Any questions? Hearing loss, yes. As I mentioned, the fact that we can see, it's controlled by the brain. The fact that we can hear, controlled by the brain. We walk, controlled by the brain. So if the brain cells that control hearing, the person will lose the hearing. Dementia affects hearing. Dementia affects eyesight. Dementia affects mobility. Dementia affects almost every aspect of our bodies that we use. As the time goes on, there are 3 stages of dementia: the early stage, the middle stage, the late stage. It is the doctors that will tell you the person is at this stage. But again, from our training workshops, they are, you see that the person cannot do that, but as the time goes on, okay, she is in the second stage because more of the things that the person used to do cannot do. You understand? Yes, it can affect. I suppose if the hearing has not already gone away, yes, the use of the hearing aids will help. But again, once they die, they may not help. Yes, I know there are people that are using hearing aids because they are at that stage. Then again, as time goes on, they may not help. And as we always say, dementia doesn't kill. What I mean by that, the person, if the person is physically fit, physically there, the person can live for many, many, many years with dementia. That's why us as care providers need to know exactly what to do, because it can be a very long journey. Like Karen's mom, our director, founder and director of Dementia SA, her mom lived with dementia for 21 solid years. She started having dementia at the age of 62. She died at the age of 83. You can imagine how long that journey is. One can start having dementia at the age of 80, but may die at age 100. So it can be a long journey. It can be a long journey. Oh, well, as I mentioned, they will lose until it gets to the neural nervous system, then losing. But what I'm trying to say, when I say in inverted commas, it doesn't kill, it means one can live for a long time with dementia. But yes, ultimately one may die from that because the person will lose everything up until the person is just bedridden. The person is just there. I don't want to scare people, but you know, when the person gets to the severe stage or the late stage of dementia, well, the person may die. But the point I was trying to make is that get the knowledge, get the education, get the information if your loved one is living with dementia, because you may be starting a long path. But I think my time is up. Did we sign?
You won't mind. I know that our ladies would like to go in your cell groups. Would you still like to go in your cells? Would you like? Because I just want to say something. Would you like to still go in your groups? Yeah, I think what we're going to do for the cell groups, for the ladies that would like to go into their group for 15 minutes. For the ladies that would like to continue to ask questions, can I ask you if you can just stay behind, and then if just form a group maybe with the ladies that would like to, we can just do it here, and then just answer their questions. Do you mind doing that? Because I'm sure there's